achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
We are live. We're live.
We are live.
How are you doing, my cheerful friend? Honestly.
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. What happened to Elavine? We miss
I'm
her?
sure she'll come. Hopefully, she'll come back.
Yes.
I know that's my phone. Ah, there
I
you go.
am
She's back
doing
again.
great. How are you doing, Annie? Oh, there she
I'm
is.
good.
Yay.
I'm doing great now that we've agreed to start work on your book.
Yes.
I'm doing great. And now that we've agreed, are you going to be a headline sponsor, or are you going to be one of the silver sponsor?
Well, I'm probably going to be the silver sponsor, but I think I would like to try and be one of the headlines, but we'll see.
There's only one headline.
Oh,
It's an exclusive deal. That way your name is in the title.
Well, I might have to do that.
Yeah, let's do that. See, now I'm doubly happy, right? You know, I live a life of joy. You know, anyway, you know, we're here. That cheers me up as well.
Yes. It's been a road to come back. But, you know, now it's speed full force, full ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, it feels like our message has evolved. It really does. We were talking yesterday, and that's what I was saying to you. This topic it resonates with me because I really think the issue we're talking about today is one that people don't want to admit, and they don't realize. They know something's wrong, something's not quite right.
Right.
But I mean, they don't know what it is apparently. Now, Alvin and I think we were talking about this yesterday, Alvin. You know, this thing that holds people back. This thing that when people say, "I'm doing," and but then we're like, "Well, it's not working," and we can't say why. Now, so Alvin, if you look at the title today, Dr. Yvonne made me understand. It's something called the Dark Nights of the Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul.
That's what it is. That explains it so beautifully. Now, my friend, this is our topic today, right? Now, this thing that is in the back of your mind, and it comes out when you're alone most of the time. It's that thing that you know is there. You can try and pretend it's not there. You can try and pretend you're fine. You're doing, you're in the right place. You're doing it properly. But I think the Dark Nights of the Soul it doesn't lie. And I think until you fight that battle and win, nothing changes. That's
right.
I think that's profound. Even if I didn't say it myself, I did say it right. But you know what I mean. It's also Yvonne's idea anyway. Look, now paint a picture for us now. What are we talking about today? Where are we going? Who's here? I see you, Liana. How you doing, Mr. Kayan? The AI genius. So glad to see you too. Who else is here, my friend? If you're here, drop us a comment so we can welcome you. I can't say much if you don't say something because I can't. I know you're here, but I can't see your name until you make a comment. You know, that's me, Dr. Yvonne. Let me give it to you so you can set the scene for our conversation and help us learn. How's all of that? Yay.
Well, yes. And so when we're learning together, right? But so today, we're talking about recovery. For some things that when you experience this narcissistic abuse or any kind of abuse, right? There is a recovery time. And when people say, do the work, you have to do the work in order to grow. Well, part of the work is known as dark night of the soul. That is where you have to really be honest with yourself. There might be things that only you know. You might be too ashamed um, to speak it to anyone. It might have happened, and it might have been very triggering. Might have been a situation. It might have been something in your household when you were growing up, or something done to you. You know, that's some deep inside of you that was meant to define you. And by defining you, it was supposed to break you. Or answering to a name that you know that's not you, that's not your character, but that's what people or a person in their mind wanted you to think you were. So dark night of the soul is going inside of oneself. And I always start with the mirror exercise, because when we go out there to present ourselves to other people, you know, it's basically a facade. It's basically a mask. You know, we have to be a certain way in public. So there's so many different degrees, conscious degrees that we have to walk through, being human, right? Being in the 3D, we have to walk through certain things. And our self-talk can either cripple us or it can exalt us. And I always liken the beginning stages of the journey to getting reacquainted with ourselves. You know, I liken that to a house. And I will ask you to keep that image. You know, there's a basement level, which is the lowest you can go unless you have a cellar. But yeah, there's a basement level, and you'll be vibrating at that level, right? But as you grow, as the scales begin to fall off of your eyes, as you start doing your work, you know, there's an ascension, there's a growth process, but it has to start somewhere. And in starting with being completely honest with yourself, there might be things about yourself. Well, there's always going to be things about yourself you don't like, but you've just never admitted that out loud. You know, this is where accountability meets your reality. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's not that you're sitting back and you're discussing it with someone else or a therapist or what. This is personal, a very personal process. And by going through and doing the work of Dark Night of the Soul and reintroducing yourself to yourself, who you knew you always were, despite what everybody else made you out to be. It's okay to be the villain in somebody else's story, especially when they're vampires. It's okay. Make me the villain. I'm okay with it. It has to do with your mindset. You know, I hear people talk about, you know, mindset and this and that, but talking about it and actually living it, two different things entirely. Because I can say it, say it, say it, say it, and say it. And my actions show something completely different. So when we start going through Dark Night of the Soul, we really begin to calculate where we want to go, how we want to go there, and why we want to go there. And the process itself is never easy. So your starting point is always going to be looking in the mirror, I think, because in the end, you're going to mirror what has been plaguing you, what has held you down. And then the more you reconcile these things or these characteristics, whether they be about yourself or what you accepted or other people or what triggers you, you're going to start to heal. And the ascension will begin. And those things, people, places, whatever was holding you back or making you feel less than, you can literally say, okay, I'll be the villain. I'll accept that. But you no longer have anything to do with my mind. And I'm going to be present in this moment. I'm going to be present with the choices I make for myself, not that you think I should make. And so it is. You know, we have to be honest with ourselves and we grow from that. And as we grow, we ascend. And as we ascend, our vibration gets higher and higher and higher. And we start attracting, we start sitting in the posture of acceptance, right? And receptivity to what we really want, who we really want to be, and who we know we are. So we'll accept being called this and that and whatever because we know who we are. And once you know who you are or who, you know, who you believe you are, right? Because you're consistently growing, you're consistently evolving. But once you really meet yourself again, say, yeah, I like that person way better than I liked the person wearing the mask. So that's what I feel, Annie. And I think that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there, you know. So I'll come back to that. Cyrus, I see you. How you doing? Glad you're here, Mr. Podcaster in Chief. Linda,
Happy
see you
Wednesday.
as well. It's great to have you here. Mr. Calm is here, but he says he'll catch up on the recording later. So welcome, you, all of you. Of course, I know there's more people here, so now do say hello. Says hi, Dr. Yvonne. Yes, so you should, right? You know, I think that this darkness is a soul thing. I think you said just now, you know, it shows in your behavior. I think it also shows in your results. You know, more than
Yes.
anything, because so we can all be doing it. You know, you can be doing the right things all day, every day. You know, looking busy, looking like you're doing the right things. But if nothing changes, it means you have not won the internal battle.
You've
You
not
know,
done the work.
yeah, the internal work that has to be done. You know, and I think this
You've
shows
not
up.
done the work.
It shows up
I'm
in
sorry.
all parts of our lives, not just in, I guess, narcissistic abuse situations. You know, I see it every day, you know, in my world. Like I said, you know, I was watching a show yesterday morning. I call it a show, it's a live event, and this woman was talking about how some people must be born to be poor, to struggle. God must just make that happen. That's what God wants for them. Whereas other people, the others, they're born to be rich. They're born to be happy. They're born to live the good life. That's what God wants for them. And you know, you sit there thinking, you've got this so wrong, so wrong, so wrong. I can't say so wrong anymore, can I? You know, because it's not God doesn't want anyone to struggle. You know, and if you're truly doing the right things and it's not working, it's the only way you can get the only other place you can go is internal. And I think we'll all get there. You know, saying I was there. I'm thinking, say, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing what you're told to do. And I remember my coach also screaming at me half the time, banging on the table, Amy, you're not doing it properly. And he was right. I thought I was doing it properly. I thought I was giving it all, right? You know, I think that's like you say I did what I was told to do. But I never internalized the learning. I didn't want to change inside me. You know, I remember, you know, distinctly saying to myself, I will do what I have to do, but I'm not going to change. More fool me, stupid me, because you know that was a problem, and that just held me back for years. One day, suddenly dawned on me: you have to change. what's inside you. Otherwise, and at the moment I made that change, our friend Zarak called it the transformation. So sometimes we'll say it's when the penny drops. Eventually, when eventually one day comes when you suddenly realize, you're like, oh, that's what it is. That's when you start seeing your life really change. That's when you start seeing what you're saying, and when you start rising, start shining, start living, just live with freedom, unburdened by your past. But it takes a process to get there. So we'll talk about how do you get there. I think that's more the question, right? Joyce, welcome. How you doing? Great to see you, Joyce, all the way from Kenya. Glad you're here. Welcome. Alavine, so, I'm sure you see what why the topic excites me. What are your thoughts about this dark nights of the soul
To
concept?
be honest, when I saw it, the title, okay, I wrote it in the private chat here because I can't access to the normal chat. I thought about shame, culpability, and also the fact we need to acknowledge that we had been hollowed out. I mean, something um, pure maybe or light, or depending on the situation, um, had been taken out of us. Not really taken out, but at the time it is like if someone had take everything from us, and we are like a shadow, an eggshell. I thought about that, and I also thought about we need to accept the wounds that we didn't take care of. These wounds, because they were let like that without proper care. Maybe these wounds had gone, maybe not correctly healed, and also maybe it's about the fact they have some pearl into it, some bad things, some parasites, some bacteria, because sometimes when we don't heal properly, that can infect our system or blood system. That is the image I had. Okay, you have been hurt, or maybe you cut your skin and you don't take care of this cut, and this cut get infected, and through that a lot of bacteria, viruses, etc., enter into your blood systems, your nervous system, and you don't see it until it is too late. And I think maybe somehow maybe it is a trauma or something we lived before, that the narcissistic person, when this person arrives in your life, this person finds these cracks, these wounds that was not healed properly, and this person uh, take this path to enter into your mind and to hollow you out. And I think of that, and I think, to be honest, I think we need to see these wounds, and we need to be honest, like Dr. Yvonne said. We need to be honest, and we need to stop being ashamed of that. And I now I am more honest with myself. I discovered very interesting things about why I fall into this trap. It was not really traps, but it was a trap because I had
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of uh, familiar, a lot of problem with my family, because they were like that. Two faces. Okay, one for people outside, one for me. They had two sides. With some friendships it was like that, with my love relationships it was like that again. And I think they knew where were my problems, my cracks, and they took advantage of that. And now, because I am honest, I am starting to see patterns I ignored before that, and going into this darkened soul. It is like being able to face who we truly are, and these wounds we need to heal, and maybe we need to cut some flesh, maybe we need to bleed a little bit, maybe it will be very painful, but when when we will be able to cut the infection, leave that out, take that out of our system, maybe take the proper medicine to 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 heal properly, we will be able to see the patterns we ignored before when people arrive in our life, and we will be able to see, oh, this person is trying to manipulate me, oh, this person is trying to guilt trap me, and I have to pay attention now because I don't want to get infected again. And that was my thoughts when I saw that. And after, after our discussion yesterday night, I took some notes. I would like to share with you if you don't mind. Okay. And I noted that the problem is sometimes we listen too much um, to the outside pressures, okay, instead of hearing, let's say, the whispers of our needs, of our fears, or maybe of our healing process. Because, when we need to heal, it would not be something very noisy, very loud. It would be something whispered, do this, do this, very low voice, kind voices. But if you are unable to calm down, to just cut everyone else off, and you are not able to just shut down the noise outside, you will not be able to hear these whispers. And sometimes we just slowing down. Sometimes it's just to say, okay, I need to sit down, to observe my wounds, my thoughts, and just to take the right decision. If you need times to heal, so do it before it is too late. Because in my case, I can say, because I didn't listen to my whispers, my need to heal from the beginning, I can say with no doubt that I have a lot of layers to uncover, to untangle, a lot of emotions, traumas to untangle, and it would be maybe most more than difficult. But I think because I am honest now, it would be easier to do so. And that's all. Thank you very much for letting me sharing that with you.
You brought up so many points. Like I had to mute myself because number one, yes, when you stuff things down, you're manifesting it some kind of way. With me, I manifested it in my health, and that's usually the first thing to go. Um, well, no, first is isolation, really. And then it becomes this implanted self-doubt, right? From who you were, let's say if you were outgoing, to now being so self-conscious, right? Because you've gotten people beating you down, beating you down, beating you down. And they don't care about what you feel. So it starts coming out of you one way or the other. And usually it manifests itself in, just like everything bad.
I can't hear you. Is that just
It's
me?
only got mute. I mean, you only got muted. Don't know what happened there. We lost. We lost your sound.
Um,
Yeah, you're back. Okay, cool.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're fine.
Yep. Okay. So when your pain starts to manifest itself, it becomes it becomes something like, for me, it came out in my health in such a way that I was a dancer for 19 years, and I literally danced off Broadway and I started dancing classically trained ballet when I was 8 years old. And it took me a very long way. Um, when you can be a dancer for all those years, and music is a real big form of expression for me. I get messages from music, I swear to you. I ended up not being able to walk. I ended up not being able to walk for over 6 years. Um, my recovery time from everything that I went through, and now none of this was physical. None of it was all mental and emotional. And by being a people pleaser and all those things, only to the family though. I got to say this. Outside world, I was very, very tough. And my whole persona, people have a problem, they will come to me. And on the outside, it's tight. But that self-talk and the things that are going through, that you're going through behind closed doors, it will manifest. And yes, mine manifested in my health, but others may manifest in what they conceive as um, failure, failure in business, failure in a relationship, uh, failure like all around. But it's not. It's a tower moment. One day you wake up and you're like, damn, like, how did I get here? Because when I started going through my little trials and tribulations, I couldn't understand it. Couldn't understand it. I did everything right. I was a good wife. I was a good daughter. I was a good sister. I allowed other people to control my life that were close to me, not not folks on the outside, because there are levels of associates. And I'm a very professional person. So I'm not going to discuss my personal life in professional situations. None of their business. But it manifested itself in my health. And then guess what? I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it. I have to deal with it. I have to work with it. I have to love myself. In other words, I got to stop choosing other people and the safety of other people and what other people might perceive about that other person. And I have to choose myself. This is the relevance of self-talk, like night of the soul, acknowledging whether you want to or not, and then working on it. Because someone can always come to you, and your narc is going to, come to you and say, oh, I've changed. I've missed you. I so and so, I so and so. And they're going to love bomb you, and they're going to, try everything to get you back that worked the first time. But this is where Elavine said you begin to recognize, their what they're doing, the symptoms, the cues, you begin to recognize it. And so after I started studying and really understanding what I was going through, and that a lot of it was cultural, what I perceived as normal was actually cultural. It was culturally accepted. So what's there to question, right? You just kind of go along with it until you become the changeling in that family, or in that workplace, wherever. You are the one that changes everything. And it starts with you, and it begins with that tower moment where everything just comes crashing down and you have to rebuild. So it's been a total of 15 years rebuilding. And I like me being back better than ever. But none of my journey, none of it, and none of your journey will be easy. Not if you are really doing the work. But you've got to choose yourself. You've got to love yourself. And when you start working from within, guess what happens? There's a glow up. And all those naysayers, all those people making you the evil one in the story, all those people that are trying to save face so they make up stories about you, or they're the best liars. All those people, they're going to watch you grow. They're going to watch you bloom as a person. Everything about you says, I really love myself. And yes, I did this. And yes, I did that. And yes, I went through this. And yes, I went through that. But look at me now. I don't know if you guys know that song. You know, look at me now. Look at me now. Yeah, look at me now. You didn't break me. I bent like hell. But I'm a rubber tree. I bounce back. And I like me more than ever. And I will hold that mirror up to you, because there's not going to be any more days of manipulation and me feeling this way and not adequate enough and all. No, I'm enough. It's you that need to do the work. And once we can switch it around and our mind is really, we're intentional with everything we do, all of a sudden, they're the ones looking at themselves going, damn, I really fumbled that. And don't let it be, a successful person that you fumbled, that you cheated on, that you lied to, that you treated like shit, that you put on a shelf somewhere. Because when they come back, their glow up is going to be dynamic. And guess what? You won't have a place at that table, because she or he has finally chosen themselves. So Ella Bean hit it, boom, right on the button. But now the harder part is literally doing the work. What does that look like? It's not just this part of your life. Like literally, it is holistic. You'll notice your diet changing. You'll notice your skin changing. You'll notice the things that you like or you thought perceived like. That was somebody else's thing. This is what I like. I remember when I got my first tattoo, because I was raised Roman Catholic, right? And tattoos are a desecration of the body, and you'll never go to heaven, and whatever. And I'm not trying to be smart, because you can believe what you want to believe, but especially with everything that's going on now and all the lies that they have indoctrinated society with, especially in this country, in the United States. Now we know the truth, right? And the truth looks more like me and people like me than it is the other way around. And there is nothing terrible about people that look like me or present like me. No, it's quite the contrary. And that's the same thing that happens once you choose yourself. And little by little, if you sit back and you look at everything that's going on now, the layers of the onion is just peeling. And all that bullshit, excuse my French, not French, is leaving. And the truth is just there looking at us. And now we're beginning to say, okay, this is who we really are. Now, that's a global picture, honestly. But when you just define yourself in your environment and in your society, you realize to yourself, I contribute more than what everybody else had made me feel or made me think. So, yes, it is noticing what they're doing and how they're doing it, you know the signs, but you also know that you choose yourself. So, like if you're picking up a glass of water, you're looking at that water and you're speaking life into that water because you're about to pour that water into your body. And you don't want to pour or put anything in your body that is dead by any means. That's why you give grace. That's why you're thankful. That's why you're grateful. You know, but with everything you do, it's with intention. Intentionality is everything. All right. And so is authenticity. And once we accept ourselves and everything that we've been through, good, bad, or indifferent, and we go through the storm and come out to the other side, the resilience and the glow up, that's what you want to achieve. And it takes a little bit of time, but as long as you continue to do the work, and the work never ends, the work never ends. We got to continue to upgrade ourselves, love ourselves, work on ourselves, because we do have that one big flaw, and that is being human. So Elavine hit it right on the money, in my opinion. That's it.
Same here. I agree entirely. She definitely hits many of the points. And I think there's important. I think she said at one point she said you have to be honest with yourself, and this is essential about honesty. Many people are just not honest with themselves. I don't know what now. I don't know. I say I'm trying to see where does that come from? Why? Zara, I see you, my friend. I'll bring you on stage. No, of course. So I'll come to you in a sec. Buttons, do what you're meant to do. How you doing, Zara? So I say welcome. No, I mean welcome. I was going to say welcome to you because you're on top of my screen anyway. So I like what Paulette says. Paulette says when you start trusting and believing in yourself and your ability to move forward, that's where things change, right? You have to accept wherever you came from and whatever has happened to you in the past. But still, you have to start moving away from past traumas and move towards your own greatness and your own success. The success you're talking about just now, if you pick on someone who is high achieving, they're going to create greatness and they're going to carry on, right? And ultimately, you have to keep believing that you can, you will, and you must. I think definitely I can see the joy in your face, Dr. Eve. And I think when we get to that place, Zara called it the moment of transformation yesterday. I think when we get there, we have to hold on to it for dear life, because I think that moment when you feel on top of the world, back to yourself, back to the self that you really are. I think that's priceless. I think that's the moment of true transformation. And I said, I know you said this is it's an everyday thing, but I think we have to hold on to that and keep living that vibration. I mean, the dark souls of the night is there. Oh, we're trying to drag us back. Alavin mentioned the quiet whispers of negativity. I think there's at the same time the reality is that there's also the quiet whispers of the right things to do, of positivity, but we don't hear them. I think we have to we have to learn to become better at hearing the good things. That God speaks to us at the same time as the devil speaks to us.
Excuse me to cut you off
Go,
a
please,
little bit. So thank you very much for what you said, as well as Dr. Yvonne, as you, Annie. And when I said we need to hear the whispers, I was talking as well as the negatives ones and about the positive ones, because I gave the example of when, let me tell you, one of the whispers I ignored the most, and I still feel guilty for it. When I meet my ex, okay, the man I spent 8 years with, 6 years trying to run away from him, and anyway, the first things is that when I saw him, Okay, when he was trying to seduce me, when he was loving bomb me or love bombing me, okay, I heard these whispers telling me something is off with this man, something is off. What are you doing? Don't go there, don't go with him. But he pushed all of my buttons, and he noticed something I didn't know at the time. It is the fact I am, um, let's say, a validation seeker. I need to have others' validation. At the time, I needed that. Okay, so what did he do? He just he just made sure that everyone around us told to me and told me, oh, you know, Arvin, you are so lucky. His man is a good man. His man this and that and blah blah blah. And because of my insecurity, I, let's say, I shut down these whispers and I followed the noise. The noise was telling me, he is, he is a good guy. He will make you happy, blah blah blah. So um, it is something I still feel guilty. I know I have to go beyond that, but for the moment, because I just discovered it, since I saw the title earlier, okay, I still feel guilty for that. So I know it is not possible to change in 2 or 3 hours. So I know with the following days, I will find a way to to to, to heal from that, because I I I just feel guilty because of what I did, but I know there is an experience or something I can learn from that, and I just have to say, okay, bye bye to that. You did wrong, and it is okay. Now you know you can trust the good whispers, and you just have to trust yourself more. That is what I can say about that.
But you know, the guilt part comes along with shame. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have nothing to be guilty of. You don't control anybody else's action. If you if you want to say I feel guilty for something, I feel guilty for not loving myself enough to walk away, for not choosing myself. But at some point, that guilt, you have to absolve yourself of that guilt. And so that's part of Dark Night of the Soul. That's part of the work, Elavine. And that's where you are right now. And remember, it's not just one Dark Night of the Soul moment that you're going to have. It's not one tower moment that you're going to have in your life. And not every tower moment is bad. Sometimes things have to break completely down in order to be rebuilt the correct way. So, guilt about going with this guy or staying with this guy, and also, too, Elavine, you have to remember cultural differences. You know, I can speak from the aspect of, being Caribbean. You can speak from the aspect of being, French, and also you're biracial, I believe. I'm multiracial. All of these factors play a part in your life. And, as a woman in my culture, we're taught to please. We're taught to take care of everyone else, and we come last. And divorce, oh my God, divorce is not supposed to be an option, right? Now, we're being more advanced. My culture is becoming more and more advanced with that, knowing that we don't have to stay somewhere just because we said I do. If we're not being treated correctly, we have a right to move on. See, before we didn't really have that right. So your guilt, it has probably a lot to do with culture. And you don't see the value in you walking away. And the value in you walking away is finally choosing yourself. That's how I see it. And that's what I believe. And that's what I'm going to stick with,
Yeah.
honestly.
I hear you. I hear you. You know, Paulette, I think Kyan agrees with your true words. I'll come to you in a second, Paulette. I don't know if Zara still there. Dr. Lisa, how you doing? Great to see you, of course, as always. Our menopause specialist. Brother Charlie says, balance the inner equilibrium. So we must find that inner balance. We must. I said, I love the next comment, Brother Charlie. You know, our life is like an onion. Whilst peeling, sometimes we cry. Indeed, that's the truth. But it's about peeling those layers back. And I say, no, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to ask a question in case Paulette or Zara want to have a thought. You know, I think the point that we got to know where we talk about feeling guilt, or no, but maybe it's just the experience of the dark night of the soul moments. You know, how do we break free from those? You know, I love the word Alavin described. You know, essentially, you know, we feel hollowed out. How do we recover from feeling so low, so down, and feeling so not ourselves? You know, it's hard enough in ordinary life, right? But you know, of course, many of the things we've mentioned so far, I'm sure they'll come into that: being honest with yourself, being accountable to yourself, loving yourself. Now, but how do people actually do the work? What's the work, Dr. Yvonne, that people need to do? Let me carry on for a second, and I'll come back to you on that one. What else do I see? Make sure I haven't missed anything. You know, Brother Charlie says, your light begins to irritate the darkness in others. It's so true, right? As you begin to rise, now you will get to a stage where other people become so offended and affronted by your new happy self, right? You know, it's a weird thing. I say, the learning isn't concerning. I notice the change in vibration when I'm in their presence. Isn't that so true as well, right? You know, Brother Charlie, you know, you should come on stage, my friend. I would love to hear you. I never heard your voice. Zarab, what say you? You know, what do you want to add to our conversation, my friend?
I will. I will. Thank you. I mean, can I want to hear Paulette first? And,
okay. Yeah. I didn't mention. Oh, did I mention Paul? I mentioned Paulette. Now, next time I will mention the other person. It will make a difference to you, sir. I know.
It will make a lot of difference because I want to hear Paulette. I know her for quite some time, and I really admire her narratives. You know, the way she puts up things, and I salute you. You know, I salute you, my brother. Why? Because you, and then these events, you know, these rooms where you have so many topics, and then amazing personalities and people who have been through those real challenges in life. I salute you, my brother, and you have that. I mean, not just that big, you know, health. But you have that big heart to carry all these personalities with you. And I salute you, brother, because last night I had my pillow with me and I turned off my lights, and I started thinking about you, me, and the people I know for over 2 years. I slept with, like, I was asking my last imam, like, that Mola, tell me something about these people, especially Annie. Especially Annie. Just help me out to understand him because he's so dope. And let Paulette go first, and
I will. You know, I know I am blessed to have arrived at a place, much like Dr. Yvonne was talking about earlier, the place where you find yourself. You know, then that's I'm so lucky to say I feel I don't know what the word is, blessed, lucky, you know, but literally I found myself in this happy place, and it's the people around me who make my events, who make my life the joy it is. Now you're part of that, Zara. Now really, so I'm forever thankful. That's the word, and you find the formulas are maybe it's maybe one thing that I suppose has to be said is that part of the healing journey, part of the you know defeating the dark nights of the soul, is about finding creating those moments of happiness, success, right? And that tends to come from helping people. Again, how did I arrive at that? God, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I thank God is all I can say. So thank you for your kind words as well. Mrs. Hallam, you're on stage. How are you?
Hello, and I'm glad I popped up because I don't often speak about a lot of what went on in my childhood, a lot of what went on in my first relationship, because I'm one of those people that I've manifested, I've worked hard, I've read every book I could, I've done the learning, and I've put an awful lot of those ghosts to bed. Doesn't mean they don't rear their ugly head, but I had a very shouty dad, and a very difficult home life. And somebody had to take the blame, somebody had to take the fall, and quite often it was me. And I never speak about it as much as perhaps I should, because people think I'm so whole and so got it all together. But I used to eat my dinner on the floor with the dog because that's what my mother did to me, because I loved my dad, who was the shouty man, he was the bully, the aggressor. And when they broke up, I still wanted to see him because he was my dad. He was shouty and he was aggressive and he was for all intents and purposes, a narcissist, but he was more of a self-proclaimed genius. He was look at me, I'm a film cameraman, I go around the world making films, admire me. And the women did, and the casting couch did exist in those days, and he wasn't what you would call someone to look up to, but he was my dad, and he was the only thing I had who appeared to love me. And because I loved him, my life at home with my mother was hell. I was beaten, I was everything you could imagine, until eventually I got taken into care. When one of the school teachers took one look at me and said, "That's enough," phoned the social worker. And it really made me scared of raised voices, because it brought back everything. I put all that lot in a box. I nailed it down. I buried the box. I think I took that box and then I probably ran it over a few times. That box was so under the tarmac, it was never coming out. And yet, the first time someone raised a voice at me, it was all there. The dark night, as you call it, the dark souls coming for me. And it's hard to speak about because there is all the words that Yvonne says, the shame, embarrassment. You feel like, why can't I just let this bloody stuff go? And then you can't, because it keeps rearing its ugly head at different times in your life. Even, within recent years, something will happen and it rears its ugly head and you go, how did I let that happen again? And you think, why do I always go back to the people pleasing? Why do I always want to be the person who says yes. When someone's in trouble, why can't I say, yeah, I'm really sorry, I'm turning left, you're turning right, bye? I can't, because I've been that person in trouble. I've been that person who needed someone. So you can't change who you are, because who you are is a formation of everything that's happened to you, everything you've learned to work through that, and then you've moved forward into this new entity, but you've still got some of that baggage attached to you. My tower's been up and down more times than I care to mention. And just like Dr. Yvonne says, that is what happens. It goes up and it goes down, and we think we're on top of these issues until something, a song, a message, it could be so many things. But the thing that I wanted to really say is that when, apart from somebody being at my front door, the thing that I really felt was really important is that there's the shame. We have to move away from the shame, because it's not ours to carry. It's the people that did it to us. The shame's on them. And I now have learned that, but it's taken an awful lot of work. And it probably made me a far better therapist, a far better counselor, a far better person to handle all of Ben's issues, a far better human. But ultimately, those emotions are the emotions you work through, even if you don't want to, even if it's the last thing in the world you want to do. You have to face them, deal with them, and then, as best as you can, move through them and out the other side. But don't expect for 1 minute that that dark night of the soul won't show its head at some point. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know why it's going to happen. A trigger comes from nowhere, and I've been witness to it. I know that my dog is the most pampered dog on this planet. Would I want to eat my dinner on the floor with him? No. Could I ever imagine making my child do that? No. So that proves that it didn't turn me into my mother. In fact, it turned me so far away from that. And I just think that those are the key takeaways, is that you can come through it, you will come through it. And every time those rocks come down, or the tower, as you called it, Dr. Ivana, come down, they come crashing down, you still can move forward. Thank you.
Wow. That's such an understatement of a word, but it says everything in what you just said. Firstly, let me say this. When we're looking at a mother who is abusive and who is also a narcissist, because she had the control over you, right? And even though your father, you say he was shouty and this, that, well, he was probably a narcissist too, because he was having affairs, obviously. Here's the thing. She took out, and I could probably bet that you look a lot like your dad. She probably took out the
Mirror,
things.
darling, I'm a mirror image, and that was the problem. The boys
That
are
was
both
the problem. Yeah,
blonde and blue eyes, and
I
I'm
just
the
got
dark haired,
chills.
dark eyes.
Oh my God, I'm literally having chills right now, because I can actually tell you a lot. But we're on stage and I'm not going to do that. But I listen, she couldn't take it out on the one that was taking it out on her. So she took it out on you, and there's always going to be a scapegoat. And I'm sure one of your brothers was your father's scapegoat, and you were your mother's scapegoat. And And I'm thinking there were three of you for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm seeing
Yeah.
three.
Yeah, two
Okay,
brothers and me.
there you go. Look at that. Now, how would I know that? Um, so the middle son, the middle child, all right, that was probably the golden child because what the middle
No, that was
child,
me. That was
that was
me.
you? That was you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't the
So
golden
then
one.
who was the golden one?
The
Well, for
baby.
your
The
okay,
baby.
but there was a golden one also for your there was a golden one for your father, because they were both narcissists. So who was the golden one for your father?
For my father, it would be
You.
me. And for my
Yep.
mother, it was the oldest one was her, the one that she believed she had telepathy with. But the baby was
Okay.
the baby.
Okay. So when either one of them is scapegoating whichever child it is, that child is the change. They're the changeling. And that's why you were the enemy. You had that light that she didn't have. And if you look like your father and he was handsome and he was all of these things, like, my father used to say, my father was Cuban, and he used to say, oh, any woman that doesn't love me has no ambition. And my mother would sit there and laugh, and she'd be like, oh, because he was everything to her. They were everything to each other. I gotta honestly say, they were together since they were 16, married well over 67 years, and she didn't know anybody else but my dad. Um, but there's got to be a changeling there. There's got to be that black sheep there. And when you're the black sheep, that means your journey is going to be pretty rough because you are the chosen one. And when you realize that you were scapegoated and the reason you went through all the trials and tribulations and the reason you attract the same thing over and over again is because you're an empath. That light attracts both good and dark. And in many ways, you could also be a starseed. That would not be something that would be far from the imagination as you're speaking, because one of your gifts is your voice. You're probably more of an orator than anything else. And when people start talking to you, your voice brings a certain calm. That's probably one of your super gifts. And your mother couldn't stand it because you're probably also very beautiful. And there was probably a point in your life where you were not, because you were under so much stress. And then the glow up came. Where you are right now in your journey, yes, you probably have gone through many dark nights of the soul and, many tower moments. But when you can truly walk away from the triggers and only use them when you have to borrow that particular situation, or you have to express that particular feeling, you borrow them because they were lessons. So when you get to the point where you can say, you know what, my mother was the best teacher I have ever had. When you can say that with a smile on your face, raised voices might still bother you, and images that you went through They might still come up, but see, you're going to be disconnected from the emotional part. And this is where emotional intelligence plays a part. You will
Wow.
be fine. You will
You
be
summed
fine.
me up, my darling. You summed me up.
I did.
One thing, I absolutely am an empath, absolutely. And I would
Yeah.
also say that some of the work I've done, and I mean, I am an avid reader. I would read and read and read. I'd learn as much as I could about the psychology of. I did psychology to a major level because it was something that I really needed to understand because I'm a fixer. And if you can't fix me, if I can't fix me, then who can? So I went away and did the work to try and understand. And exactly what you said is that when the pain, when the pain of not being loved, of not being wanted, of not being heard or seen, and your value is as the dog, then you have to you have to get yourself up from there and pull up your ankle socks and go, do you know what? I am never going to let anybody treat me like this again. And I was 8 years old when I made that decision. I was 8 years old and I knew then that I was never going to let anybody treat me like this again. And I think that the reason I'm an empath is because I see other people being treated badly and I want I want to help them, but I also want to show them a different way. And you are doing exactly the same thing and you're doing it in a beautiful way. And the way that you are pouring into people is is something that I'm extremely grateful to hear. And I've heard many times just in the quiet when you've not known I'm there, because I don't put comments, so people don't know. But today it was important that somebody said to me I was perfect. And I felt like crying because you're so far away from perfect in your mind. And it doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself, it's okay, everything's fine now. I can stand on a stage, I can command a stage. But the pain I went through, I don't want to just put it back in that box and forget about it. I want to acknowledge it and then move on. And I used to have to, but do you understand what I mean? I used to feel
Yes.
like I needed to put it underneath the ground and bury it. Now it can sit on the shelf. It bothers me not. And that's how I can talk about it. And that's what I wanted to say. So thank you.
Well, wow. And do you know how, well, of course you know how much like true valor, that's a good word, it takes to express yourself like that. Uh, your pain, because I don't know, I'm getting the feeling that do you still talk to your mother?
No, she's dead. And
Okay.
I found her
Inna
along with
lillahi
my
wa inna ilaihi
husband.
raji'un.
And it was me that was trying to resuscitate her. And she had already gone. But it was Charles and I that found her. And it was us that looked after her in later life. And that shows the growth because if I can forgive and look after her and and that's Charles as well. I can't take all the credit because my
Mhm.
husband is the most kind-hearted, wonderful man on the planet. He taught me that it was okay to forgive. And
Y-
so as I was able to do that, I looked after her. We ran around after her. We did everything for her. And when she
Well,
died,
mhm,
that was it. Finished. She was the best grandmother on the planet. She was the
mhm,
most awful mother on the planet to me, but she was the
yeah.
best grandmother. So for my son, she was his favorite person on the planet, except me and
Hmm.
Charles. Do you
Hmm.
understand? She
Yeah.
she 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 poured into my son, And yet when I was pregnant with him, a very quick thing, when I was pregnant with Ben, I prayed that my son would look like Charles, because I daren't have him look like me, because she might not be able to love him. And we'd reconciled by then, and I didn't want her not to love my child. My child came out with dark skin, with dark hair, and dark eyes, just like me.
Yeah,
And
just
she
like you,
adored
right?
him, and she adored him.
Well,
So she grew
she had
too.
to pour into him because she admitted silently
Yes,
what
yes,
the kind of monster that she was. Now,
yeah.
here's the thing, and I'm gonna say this, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, but I want you to hear what I'm saying inside. I don't want you to hear it prima facie. I don't want you to hear it just as words. I want you to hear it inside. The fact that you were able to look after her, because I can't look after my mother, because my mother was the complete opposite with the grandchildren. And she was horrible to me. Now, I have to say I didn't go through some of the things that you mentioned, but when you have the feeling that your mother doesn't love you, it's really bad, right? When you feel like your mother doesn't love you, or when your mother is competing with you, okay? You know, oh, I was at your age, I was more beautiful than you, or other people are beautiful than you. So I grew up thinking that I was not a good looking person, and that if I looked in the mirror and saw myself, I wouldn't take pictures, um, and that I was all these things that I actually was not. I had to forgive not only her, but I had to forgive myself, just like I had to forgive my husband, right? Because we attract we attract both light and dark. And I didn't want to marry anybody outside my culture at that time. I didn't really want to ever get married at all, like ever. But that's not what the universe had for me. Um, but when you get the opportunity, and you will get it because you're still working on yourself. We all have to continue working on ourselves. But you have to understand, just because you forgive someone doesn't mean they get the same access. And even though you told yourself at 8 that you were never going to let anybody treat you like that, physically, okay, mentally, and emotionally, you had to break that cord, that imaginary cord. You had to cut that imaginary cord that was created through those bonds. And when you completely cut those cords and completely forgive yourself, because it's not your fault. It is not your fault. And that's the part in your mind that you have to reconcile. The other part to that is in choosing yourself and in being resilient in your growth. You also have to say, I'm okay. I'm okay. And yes, I had to go through this, and I had to feel like that, and I was treated terribly. That person is going through a nightmare that they will never unlive. And that's a fact. That's why she was so wonderful to your son. On the case of my mom, she was just never a warm person. just that just wasn't who she was. And the only one she cared about was my dad. That was the only person. But the way that I reconciled her in my mind was that, she was 16 and he was 26. And literally, she was groomed by our culture and then by him. And even though their love story was great in that there would never be another him and there would never be another her, and you couldn't even say, oops, about my mom. Like, there's no way. And you dare not say anything about my dad and let my mom hear it. But they never changed. Because the thing about narcissists is they don't know how to take accountability, responsibility, and they don't know how to say they're sorry. So I take off my hat to you for taking care of your mom. I take care of everything in the background for my mother. I make sure legally everything is fine. I make sure she gets the nurses and the help. And if there's anything that she has to go through in a hospital, whatever, I'm there. But like the daily care that I would have given my dad, I can't give her because I will not allow her access to me.
I recognize so much of what you've said because exactly the same thing. I grew up thinking I was a monster. I mean, the ugliest thing on the planet. And I was told that,
Yeah.
there wasn't anybody uglier than me, really. And so that's when you believe these things that you're told.
Yeah.
And nobody could convince me otherwise. Nobody. And when somebody would say something to me like, "Oh, you look really pretty today," I think they were taking the mickey out of me, or they were being abusive, or they were
Right.
laughing at me, or it was so ingrained that I was a beast or a monster. And as a child, that is like the worst destruction you could imagine.
It's the
But
worst
then
feeling. It's the
it
worst
is the
feeling.
worst feeling, the
Yeah.
worst. And the one person who should love you unconditionally, one believes is your mother. But, the thing that it taught me, I mean, I didn't have children till I was 39. I never thought it was a complete, absolute wonderful surprise. And I think that if I did everything that she didn't do, right? If I did everything the opposite that she did, that made me the best mom on the planet. Because, I've got the most adoring son, and we have the most amazing relationship, and so does Charles. And, he has his own complications and if difficulties. He's got autism, he has lots to handle and cope and deal with. But do you know something? One of the few times that I will always remember, and I'll just finish on this, at my mum's funeral, there weren't that many tears. When me and my brother, my younger brother, who was, originally he was the blue-eyed boy, and then he got to the point where he was like, I'm gonna just drive into a wall every time I speak to her. I can't cope anymore. And I'd be like, all right, I'll deal with it. I used to be the one to placate and calm everyone down. And when she died, me and my younger brother sat down to organize the funeral, and they said, would you like mother? And I looked at my brother, and he sort of went, nothing, no response. And he said, Mum? And there was no response. And then he said, Nan? And we both said, yeah, that'll do. We went with Nan.
Wow.
So does that not show you that even though he didn't have the treatment as a child, he had it as an adult, and indirectly in a different way? The expectations again from him were that he would be the blue-eyed boy forever. And, in a funny kind of way, I think that I ended up being the most normal Although I was brought up in a different household because I ended up being fostered, I have a wonderful foster family. I've got two amazing foster brothers, amazing foster mum. I'm so lucky that I do not, I didn't hold a grudge. I never, there's a word that people say, you can forget, but you don't forgive, or you can forgive, but you don't forget. I think that I'm that person that has tried to forgive so I can move on, but I have never forgotten. Otherwise, I couldn't have spoken to you about it today. And it's a case of, I don't need that in my life. She's no longer here. That damage is gone and done and finished. And now I'm get to be me. And I can look in a mirror, and I don't always look like what I see because I'm getting older. I'm 61. But you know something? It's not about I'm an ugly beast anymore. It's about, oh gosh, look, I've got a wrinkle. You know, I'm going to enjoy those wrinkles. I'm going to enjoy looking in that mirror. I'm going to slap that makeup on and enjoy myself and enjoy me and belonging to me. And that's how I feel now. And I think that if I can get to that place, that's pretty amazing. And I just can go forward from here on and living my life for however many years I get without having that hanging over me and a rucksack of rocks on my back, which is what it felt like for years.
Well, I'm also seeing that you're probably very, very pretty. And you probably look like you're aging backwards. And that's because you have now been given a second chance. And you're given a second chance through the universe, through the environment. And that second chance is probably going to make you maybe the first millionaire in your family, or whatever your goals are, you're going to reach them because of reconciliation. But you still have to be in the point where you say, thank you, mom and dad, for being the best teachers I've ever had. Because that's what they were. All of these were lessons. And maybe the relationships that you had leading up to, your phenomenal husband, they were probably all karmic. And they probably mimicked in some way your parents, and you wanting to please.
100%. You're like
Yeah.
you've been in my get out my head. Yeah, no, 100%. And absolutely the mistakes you make along the way are who you are. And they absolutely forgiving, not forgetting, but forgiving and being able to say, okay, you taught me everything I needed to know. Doesn't necessarily mean you taught me great. And I don't
No.
really want those lessons if I had a choice, but I've had them, I've moved on, and I'm really glad to have been able to come up on stage and speak to you. And Zara, I'm so sorry I've taken so much time, darling. I apologize. So I'm going to shut up now and let Zara talk.
Hey,
For
thank
coming
you for
up, Paulette.
sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Thank you
that's
for
it. Thank
sharing
you.
that.
Everything you say is true. Dr. Yvonne. I didn't say Paulette was gorgeous. I didn't say she wasn't either. So you can't shoot me. But she has. You do have that the glow up
It's the glow up. It's a
effect.
glow up.
Yes,
Yeah.
Paulette. There you go. In
It's
every
it's
way, in the life you live, in your success in life, and in everything that's come since is what I'm thinking, Paulette. In case you're wondering why I
yes.
said no, Paulette doesn't like me talking about her at best of times. So I get
But
away with
that's
it today.
okay. You're gonna you have to get used to it, because you're gonna be taking center stage in a lot of people's lives, and you're gonna be making a difference. And when you start, or you probably already started, I need to do some homework too now. But
Mm,
the bottom line is, the effects that the lessons taught you is
mm,
only going to make your community, your environment, whatever stage you're on, larger. because there's so many people that have to learn to reconcile, work with, walk away from, deal with karmic situations from
Yeah.
that aspect. So you're just starting.
Yeah.
You're literally just starting. And when you really, because I believe that you do everything intentionally, your clock is just gonna, people are gonna see you that might have grown up with you or that might have known you prior. And they're gonna be just like, is that her? Oh my God. I wonder if she had plastic surgery. Wow, is that her? Oh my God. I wonder, I wonder if that's a wig. Oh my goodness. She looks so different. Wonder what she did. And all it is the glow up. It's you knowing your value, your worth, and being okay with the lessons that you learned because you realize that wasn't you. So you couldn't control it.
Yeah.
What wasn't it supposed to be just like a 45 minutes to an hour?
I told you you're gonna have to stop talking sometime, and here you are. We'll give it another 5 minutes. I want to hear from Zara. Let me welcome the amazing Mel, the woman that talks trust and makes it alongside to talk alongside music and great songs. How you doing, Mel? Hi to you. So I'm hoping and praying you're gonna join my show at 10 o'clock. Well, 2.5 hours. So let's talk about how you trust yourself. Now, Brother Charlie, I see you. Says, listen to this is therapy. Now, but, I think you're touching comments all the way, Brother Charlie. Now, Paulette says, damn, I can relate. Now, together we must triumph over the trauma. That's when Paulette started talking, right? And I don't know what to make of this. It's saying, my ex made me vindictive and killed my smile. That saddens me. Yeah, and that's harsh. But I think I'm hoping that
You can work through that.
yes,
You can work through that. And it's a holistic process. And you're going to realize that things are going to change. Food's going to be different. What you do is going to be different. And you're going to have to release that. You know, when you see a bitter woman, or a bitter person, like I think a bitter woman is like the worst ever. But a bitter person, man or woman, it's because intellectually they don't know how to regulate their emotions, because when they try to be vulnerable, their partner just smashed it in their face, didn't allow it. You can overcome that, but it's not dead. You just have to work on that. And then your next partner that you attract will be who was meant for you. See, your ex was karmic. There were lessons you needed to learn, and you probably met that ex at a very low vibrational stature in your life. And while you were raising, the ex stayed in the basement and you went to the first floor or the second floor. So now you have to concentrate on yourself. And through concentrating on yourself, you'll forgive her, you'll forgive yourself, you won't take her back. But then the right person will be sent to you at the right time.
Bring your smile back, right?
Bring that smile back.
You must. You must. And of course, I see, you said protect your mental mindset environment. Yes, that's not your mindset is, it is everything around you and everything that you are. And you say also, a voice, a song can trigger my inner ignorance. I like the
Well,
honesty.
yeah, that's because you're getting messages through music. I mean, we get messages all the time. We get numerical messages, we get angel messages. You know, we we would be walking somewhere or laying down and there's a scent that just all of a sudden appears and the scent is familiar, or you have deja vu. It's just whether or not you're aware. But I really would like to talk to Mr. Z. I've not heard you speak.
Yeah. Did you say
I
the
think
word star seed sometime? Yes or no?
Yes,
You
yes.
did. She did. All right, brother Charlie. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Zara, the mic is yours, my friend.
thank you. You
Thanks
know,
for your patience too.
doctor. I mean, she's not a doctor. I think I mean, what should I say? Her mind reader, or I mean, so much she has been through in life, and now she is ready, not ready, but she loves to read people, and she loves to she can understand things, any like you like water, and now she loves to heal people who has been through lots of traumas, because now she has heard thousands of stories when someone starts, and when at the age of 8 she started dancing and listening music, and she had been through a lot. Now she's talking about cultures, and I was hearing about Paulette's story more, like, attentively this time, and the way she she has been through those stages, and now telling her pain. You guys are like someone like masters, um, coaches, trainers, but I have something, like, because I can see, uh, I love to read books, yeah, and the way I see it is like Prophet Noah. Um, the wife of Prophet Noah didn't boarded the ark. So if the prophets and their wives could be disobedient, okay, and then who are we as humans, right? And if Prophet Lut, there is another example. So we go back to Adam. We can see some number of examples, like how that that Kabil and Habil, one brother was being yellow with the other brother. So we have to live with this real. I look at when I look at to my journey from Karachi to Lahore, and my life being the youngest, right, and the way we have been brought up here in this culture, in this part of the world, where you will find a little bit more extremism, because just on this last Friday, people, they were praying namaz, any namaz, okay, and in the Imam Barga, and because we have we are close to Afghanistan, right, and there is some sort of proxy wars are going on, right, and Afghanistan is like used as that center of hub where ISIs and ISIS and American Trump's involvement and everything. So he is the center where everything goes wrong, right? In the neighboring countries, especially Pakistan. Now India supporting. So then last Friday, people were praying namaz, okay, and they were like 1,200 people in the Imam Barga. It was not mosque, it was Shia Imam Barga. Now, the population of Sunnis, Sunni Muslims, now just to let you know the basics. I mean, forget about the relationships we have in life when there are so many other differences, right? Forget about the relationship. Let's come to the basic, the way, because we live in a society and we wake up every morning, we go out, we visit the society. Which one is more real? So last Friday, people were praying namaz in the Imam Barga, and a suicide bomber, because Pakistan is having tensions with Afghanistan nowadays, because our south of Waziristan is mostly under all the time influence of Afghanistan. So people were praying namaz, and suicide bomber came in. When they were bowing their head, one of the guy who was near the gate, he saw that suicide bomber coming in. He left his namaz. He ran towards that suicide bomber. He picked him up like that, took him out of the Imam Barga. He blowed himself. 30 people were like being martyred. Small little children and other people. Why I'm telling all this? My point is, because Sunni Muslims, mostly in Pakistan, are 70%. And only 10% of Shia Muslims are here in Pakistan. Right? This incident happened after many years. But yesterday, day before yesterday, Ali Haq, Pakistan Army killed the commander in Afghanistan who did that. Within 48 hours, we killed that commander. It was also in the news. But the innocent people are being targeted. The easy targets out there. Narcissistic people, these extremist people, these toxic people, not just in relationships, they also exist. These personalities, these uneducated personalities, or these brainwashed personalities, they are present everywhere and around us, right? But through education and through kind words, right, we can change. But the situation of Pakistan, like when I look into that, Alhamdulillah, we are changing, and now people here, they're becoming like superpowers. They understand, because we have that big bulk of women who are highly educated, bulk of women highly educated, and they know how to handle their men's. And men's, because now they are so much aware about this narcissistic relationships and how to save their relationships, how to hug a porcupine, and still live with them for the rest of their life. It's part of us. When it comes to culturally, Muslims can get married 4 times. But now women can also have their khula from men's. They can also leave the men's if they don't want to live. So what Dr. John said, like about divorces and everything, is more often happening in Middle East also. So
It's a new
but
thing. It's new. It's
Yes,
new.
it's new for you. This is maybe like because we are not looking into Middle East, we're not looking into other parts of the countries when we have so much going on in our own country, right?
Right.
And then, but I think it's a good way. I really respect Annie because the way he and Dr. Jan, you you pick up these subjects carefully, and then you put more light on it. And now, if there's someone in the audience, they want to connect the dots and go back and reflect. Okay, it's not only us who's going through something worse in life. There is so much happening in the world, and 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 we have to. What if, like the last topic we had was what if, and this analogy of when, where, how, what, if, who, what, where, when, how, if. This analogy really can really help us think beyond borders. And Paulette, um, see, I saw two funerals in my own family within 20 days. I
Mm.
had some addiction problems when I was in Karachi because of because of staying in that environment of Karachi, and because of us. mm, Baba was intelligence analyst, a retired major from army. He did some intelligence operations in East Pakistan, so-called Bangladesh. Because back then everybody has to go once to East Pakistan, from Pakistan to Bangladesh, and you have to fly all over India to Pakistan, to East Pakistan. This is how the partition happened on this side of India and Pakistan back then in 1947. So Baba was appointed in 1966 in the army right after 1965 war between India and Pakistan. That was the first official war which Pakistan won. So we are independent countries. But in India, if you go there, have more Muslims than Hindus in the population. And what I'm saying is, okay, back then in Karachi, we were like being told not to do networking or not being very social because of Baba's intelligence operations there in East Pakistan. So being an army family, and we were not one of those who were always there in the cantonments, living in the boundaries. We were, after his retirement, we have to go, we have to shift from district to district, district to district in Karachi. And the history of Karachi, like if you guys read about it, it's like Mumbai in India. Within like 24 hours, you're going to see all the crime happening. If I tie you up with a pole, you're going to see all the crime happening in front of you within like 24 hours. So quick. You will hear people getting killed. You'll see some um, drug being sold in the next of the street. We'll see somebody getting raped. We'll see something like a child getting, you know, a child, he was fallen in the gutter and got dead. So even though in this 2026, because of the population, 250 million people. Now think of India, 1 billion people. Asian countries is especially India and Pakistan. We have like different cultures. and according to the provinces, and then lots of people and lots of languages. Just in Pakistan, we speak more than 50 languages just in Pakistan. People, narcissistic people, they are part of us. I mean, somewhere I have a porcupine personality within me when I look into myself. It's just that you need to you need to mature yourself and and understand and read yourself. You can, some people in your life, they can, through kindness, they change you over time. Like in case of Paulette, it was Charles, right? Change. And we all are here to change ourselves from addictions to now a clean person talking in front of you guys, sharing my feelings that somebody changed me. Somebody's kindness, care, love changed me. And I thank her for everything. Yes, Baba was a Sunni Muslim. My mother was a Shia Muslim, Sayyid Kazmi. And that's a love marriage between them. And because of transfers of Baba, my mother has to live alone. And because of those two funerals, the children are growing. My nieces are growing. My nephew is growing. They have healed properly since we have returned from Karachi to our own roots, our own ancestral roots here in Punjab. After staying away from them, after staying away from this vibe of Lahore, 24 years. So this is it's like it's another type of like feeling and vibe because of that cultural shift. And the people around you is so much full of hospitality. They have they are so humble and kind, and and when you compare the life of Karachi with Lahore, so I believe now when I look back, I don't want to say this, okay, I wasted my 24 years, but I would say thank you, Karachi, because I have nothing else to say. Because on my father's funeral, I had only 10 people when in the last 1 year, I attended 4 funerals in my relatives, you know. And every time I went to the funeral, I saw so many people all coming up together because they network. They were like social. They built their connections here. All my relatives, okay, they are spread it all over Punjab. One of my cousin, he passed away in Kasur. He was a nambardar. Who are nambardars? They are the ones who tag the fields. Okay, this one is that belongs to Annie. This one belongs to Paulette. This field belongs to Doctor. So he was a nambardar here. He passed away. So on his funeral, 3,000 people were like present. In my case, I have to do it with 10 people with my father. So with my sister-in-law was like, okay, because her family was there, her brothers and sisters. Yeah, they were people. But that really stuck in my heart. That one thing that that why that spending 24 years without building any relationships with people, what actually we were doing there in Karachi. So we lost them, and then there was another, you know, that a motherly shift when a mother is watching his first son, Haris, my elder brother. Remember, Annie, I told you about that. That because of that medical panel hospital, he was being overdosed, and we lost my own blood brother because of the negligence of doctors and hospitals and the system. Own blood, he was aircraft load controller. He used to balance the aircrafts, planes. I have so much, I mean, Annie, to identify the systems and the narcissistic systems to the level of relationships, to the level of um, even even politically, you know, that level of narcissistic behaviors in the political, and then the economies, and then the people. I mean, lots of experiences, but the topic today is how to beat these toxic relationships, doctor. You are amazing. You can read people. You're doing a great job, you and Annie. You guys have something more bigger, more bigger purpose in life. So I thank you all for being so honest to us that even miles away I can see my, like how doctor said, chills and everything, right? Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I know this is being recorded, and I have to go back and I will listen to it myself again because this was phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that with us. You went really deep. You, Paulette, you guys went really, really deep. And the beauty of that is you felt safe enough to do it on this platform. That's the beauty of it because it's not easy for me. You know, all the people that I'm talking about are still alive. And part of breaking the, I don't want to say the word curse, but I really believe it is. I believe it is because you can either continue that line in your children, in your environment, in your relationships, or you can choose to be the changeling. And I think everyone that hopefully that has come to this room or that sees this topic, they want to be the change in their legacy. They don't want to continue these kinds of syndromes um, in other generations. And you see, for me, I tell my daughter all the time how beautiful she is. I tell my two sons all the time, you know, how wonderful they are. But not only that, I praise them, but I also say, oh, look, okay, you're going to take responsibility for what you did. Whatever you did that was wrong or wasn't right, you'll take responsibility for those things. And then I'm a big proponent of giving back to the environment and the community in which you live in because I'm very political that way as well. Because I got skin in the game, you know, I have
Dr. Yaman,
legacy.
I
Yes.
think, okay, my purpose is to make sure that there are more people present when I die, to make my funeral bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't want
But
to be a
it,
small one.
it will be because I think the reason you're here is because you're one of the changers. You're one of the people that your spirit is going to go further than just your presence. And because of that, you're going to be that light for other people that have seen or are seeing what you have seen and taken yourself out of and learn to appreciate the lessons that were taught to you. So if that's what you want, that is what you will materialize. That's what you will manifest. And so you have to live your life like that intentionally and it will materialize. That's how the universe works. But you have to be sincere, you have to be authentic. You can't say one thing and then do something else. And your authenticity is what's going to give you what you want. And that's true of all of us, but not everybody in this dimension at this time will get that lesson. So they'll be forced to come back and they'll be forced to repeat it. So as you do the work and as you show your resilience, as you show your commitment, as you choose yourself, all of the things that you want to see happen will happen because
Inshallah.
you did it with the intent. Intent is everything. That's just how it is. And I'm extreme, and I don't want to say this to make it sound condescending, but I'm not being condescending because I'm saying this to myself as well. Really proud of everyone here. Extremely proud, and I'm proud of myself too. And with that, I'm going to throw it to Annie because we have to close the room. This is sad. Annie, are you there?
Any. There are none so many.
Oh, there
I
he
was
is.
last night. Um, I had my pillow.
Sorry about that. I am here. Sorry, I got my neighbor came to talk, so I was talking to my neighbor. You know. Anyway, sorry, Zara. You carry on. I'll go.
Yeah,
And
last night. No, it's your turn. You have to close the room. Yeah,
you know,
you had so much going on.
you know, look, and, you know, it's a deep message that you're sharing. I think we do have to go though. Now, Dr. Yvonne, I think we should talk about solutions in the next show. How do you actually arrive at healing? I think that it's easy to say you have to heal, you have to fight, but beat the dark night of the soul. But how? What are the steps? Or is it pure
Yeah.
coaching that people need? Is it therapy that people need?
Yes. Well, that's part of what I do. When I first opened my business 28 years ago, it was just the legal aspect of what I do. Because I used to be a litigator, so toxic tort litigation is what I used to do. And then I got pregnant at 37, Paulette. Had my first baby at 37. And even she was a miracle because prior to getting pregnant, 15 years, 16 years prior, I was hit by a drunk driver and the steering column went in my uterus. And so they told me I would never have kids and they wanted to give me a complete hysterectomy. And I said no, because I was a dancer and I knew my own body. And I said no. And, Yahweh, universe, decided 15 years after that I was going to get a miracle. It was my daughter. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's another one. Wait, I thought I wasn't supposed to be able to get pregnant. And then 7 years later, my husband said, "Oh, I'm going to do better, this and that. Please, I want one more. I want to be able to give a son my name." And see, when we had my first son, I wanted to, give, a junior. And he was so into that narcissistic abuse crap. He was like, no, because it's always about them. That's the point. It's always about them. So if you're having a birthday party, they're going to ruin it because it's about them. So he said, one more, just give me one more. Now, this is from someone who's not supposed to be able to have kids. All right. And then boom, I have two. And then he asked for one more. And I said, okay. Right. And I had the third one, just like that. And I've had the same OB-GYN since I was 22. And he delivered all of my babies. And it was miracle after miracle after miracle. And I will not allow anyone to come after my kids. And you see, that's why I don't have the kind of, you know, I don't want to say forgiving, but I will never be able to really be taking care of my mother the same way I took care of my grandmother or any of the other people that have passed on. I want to take care of people. Everyone thought I was going to be a nurse or something like that, and they didn't think I was going to be in the legal field, you know. But I can't do it with my mother because you see, let's say I'm sick. I won't touch food. I won't even go into the kitchen because I won't prepare it for other people if I'm sick. Let's say I'm sad or depressed. I won't touch food because I feel that whatever I'm feeling is going to go into the food because everything I do with intention. And I love cooking. If you go to my Instagram or any of my my sites, you will see I teach people even how to cook healthy, how to use the correct herbs, you know, and being Jamaican, you know, our food, people say, oh, your food is spicy. No, it's not spicy. The herbs make it taste really, really good, and it doesn't have to be hot as far as pepper to make it taste good. But I enjoy cooking, and I enjoy watching people enjoy what I have created. So depending on how I feel, I will not touch it because I'm proud of it. So anytime I withdraw, which is a very normal thing for me, I had to learn to understand, okay, sometimes I have to withdraw to protect my energy. And I like having this much time to talk. I usually do not have this much time. I do not allow that much of my energy to go out at one time. And you have to understand, yes, I am very spiritual. And I'm in touch with that. But again, that came with knowing who I was and not who they told me I should be. And also accepting who I was and knowing that I'm not strange. I just have gifts that have been granted to me and I have to learn how to use them. So I with that, yeah, let's talk about the steps next on how we get where we need to go and why we choose to be the changeling, even though that's the hardest position in that situation to be in because you take a lot of blows. And I appreciate everybody coming out today and I appreciate everybody sharing. You have no idea how great this makes me feel. And not because it was popular, but
next
because
time
it
you
was
say
great.
55 minutes, I won't believe you. Like, I didn't believe you today anyway. Here we are, 2 hours later. Honestly, I blame everyone. That's all right. I do like the point you introduced, which is a different level of narcissism.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll leave that to our genius, Dr. Yvonne, to think about strategy to create world peace. That's what it comes down to, right? You know, I mean, you know, let's see you end terrorism. I'll be well impressed, Dr. Yvonne, honestly. That would be a book to write tomorrow. Now, forget the other books. Let's just get on with the one that has this answer in there, right? You know, but Zara, that is an interesting point. I can hear Kayan gasping when Zara was talking, right? You know, literally like, you know, and then so of course it says Zara and I love and peace as well, you know.
I mean, you know, our cultural thing is it is a thing. And even though I came to this country when I was 1.5, when you got to 1519 Greenleaf, which is where I was raised, our family home, that was Jamaican. That was Jamaican, Cuban, Panamanian. It was not American. And believe it or not, I raised my kids in my culture. I didn't lose my culture, didn't lose my food, didn't lose anything. So, I mean, I started talking about the tattoos earlier, and I mean, I got my first tattoo when I started walking again. And I remember I went down to Florida because my parents went back between Florida and Chicago, or we don't live in Chicago, we live on the North Shore, but you guys would, if you don't know Illinois, um, everybody knows the word Chicago, but we lived on the North Shore. I still live on the North Shore. Um, I, I I can't even begin to tell you the amount of fight you had to have being an immigrant to this country. And even though I'd been here since I was 1.5, and when I started preschool, it's the same, kids. And I literally had to fight from third grade all the way to first year of high school with go home and eat your stinking rotten bananas, go back to your country. I mean, I went through a lot of that, and you would be very surprised to know that most of them look like me. You know, it wasn't like this, it was like this. Those are the ones I had trouble with. Everybody else was welcoming, kind, and all of that. And then I had to go home to the other stuff that we talked about. So, narcissism is on so many different levels. And what's funny now is all the people that, bullied me when I was a kid, they try so hard to get my attention, get my time, um, ask me to help them with their businesses. And I don't grant them that type of permission. So part of it is knowing your worth, not just saying it, but actually believing it. That took me a long time. I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. But yes, next time let's talk about what you said, Annie. And
Yeah.
then let's try to keep it to an hour because I swear to God, my other appointment
That's not.
is
It's not me.
gone.
It's you. It's my co-hosts who make us stay here longer. I just saw a comment from Paulette on my LinkedIn, but it's not on StreamYard. She says,
Annie,
"Sarah,
your video is freezing. Your video, Annie, is freeze.
no. It's all right. I'm still moving. I'm still moving. I'll move again in a minute. I'm sure.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
with that said, and what did Paulette say? You said that, and then we have to close it up. But
Okay. Yeah. Listen. We're gonna end on that. If I can find it. There's a volume going on in the background. Okay, Paulette says, Zara, thank you for your honesty and opening your heart today. Now, bravery and intentional actions will take you all the way, my friend. I think there will be hundreds when your day comes because you are one in a million. Paulette, very kind of you. Zara is allowed to blush slightly, and Kyan says, kindness and togetherness, fam. I agree with you. Look. Thank you so much, everyone, that spent your time with us. I can't say thank you enough. I really can't. We appreciate you. Your time is
either.
valuable. You spent it with us, right? So don't forget to my next event is starting in an hour and a half. So do join us. Yeah, Mel
Annie,
says,
Annie, can I add something here before going to doctor? Also, should remember,
of course you
because
can.
doctor,
Yes,
I started a business and my new startup, which this is the first time in my life that um, I wanted to really grow in around the world, because we have
yes.
17 different marketplaces which are
Oh,
now live, and Annie knows about it.
Hmm.
And I want to tell everybody, okay, I want to change my lifestyle. I want to help my family, and I want to grow this startup, which is uh, I'm working with an aloe vera company, which is from Arizona, and I am an assistant supervisor there. And we give that global we are global giant, international giant, who are giving beauty products and well-being products. So it's a network marketing which is based on duplications,
Mm-hmm.
trainings, and education. And the products are very high end and lifetime valued. They change people's life because there are 200 bioactive compounds, and when you consume them, you detox yourself, you get better. So I'm doing this startup to remember me. If you guys can connect me with the right people, they'll be really appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe everybody can win. So
Hmm.
that's my belief. And that's my authentic belief. We're all here for different reasons. So why can't we all win?
Yeah.
And with that, yes. Okay. So any,
Hold on.
Paulette,
Hold on. We're nearly
Z,
gone. Yeah. 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 Please finish off.
me, or you?
Yeah. You. I'm gonna put a link for my event in the chat. So I'm just working on. Trying to put that
Well,
in. I press end.
thank you everybody for coming out today. Please come back in 2 weeks or 10 days. Um, Annie will obviously, Annie and I will, you know, alert you when the next show is. But also, if you guys want to reach out, if you want to do any work, or if there are other people that you know that need that kind of work, I am a, a life coach, luxury lifestyle coach. But it is something that you have to commit to, and it's holistic. And I think that's the only way we can heal is we have to look at every part of our lives. So I want to thank everybody for sharing. Paulette, oh my God, see what wonderful words you had for us today. And you painted a picture, which is very important. So thank you for that. And everybody who came, thank you so much. Let's connect.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
great, great rest of your week and day, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone that celebrates it.
Happy Valentine.
When is it?
It's
I know
on
it's the
Saturday.
14th.
It's on
I know it's the
Saturday.
14th. It's on
It's on
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday.
I better call my wife. I'm nowhere near home.
Yep.
I would have called her anyway, right? So I'll get away with that. Happy Valentine's
Okay.
Day, everyone. You celebrate. Look, thank you so much, Alavine. You are a star always. So
Always.
all the way.
Olivine. I love
Yeah.
her. Love her, love
Look,
her, love her.
yeah, and everyone in the audience as well. Who I we can't do the shows without you, so I'm glad you're here. And Dr. Yvonne says, do join us again in 2 weeks' time. My show that's starting at 10 o'clock, 5 p.m. Eastern, is being your authentic self in business. How do you build trust in yourself to follow through to achieve your goals? The link is in the comments. Now, do
Okay.
join us. Let's talk. I think the same conversation, similar conversation.
Okay.
We have to face those dark nights of our soul.
Burning the late night oil with Annie.
Yes. Okay,
Um,
everyone. I love you guys.
Take care, everyone.
Take
Take
care.
care,
Take
everyone.
care.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Cheers.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.